Okay.
I consider myself to be a real person, and I can easily say when I'm wrong. This is one of those videos. I am admitting to you guys, I'm not gonna say I was wrong. I'll just say that my first impressions were not the full picture, which is a lot of the times what happens. The fragrances I'm going to share with you guys are ones that some of which I did a first impressions video as a short. Maybe I had a lukewarm to a negative impression. Maybe I featured one or two of these fragrances in actual long form videos like this, giving my take and not doing so in a way that makes it look good. But all these fragrances were new to me at the time that I was on camera talking about them, and with time can come more understanding. So I've given some of these fragrances some more wearing, have gotten to know them a little bit better, and I'm not going to say all of them have turned around and become 10 out of 10s, but all of them have become better than they initially were when I first got my nose on them and shared my thoughts on them on camera. They're all going to be linked down in the description. I want to know what you think of them, if you've tried any of these or if you've had a similar experience as me, and let's dive right into it, shall we? In no particular order, the first one up here is the newest from the house of Ralph Lauren, at least at the time of filming this. When I first got my nose on this, I would have easily called it like a 5 or 6 out of 10. Not because it smelled bad, but just because it didn't smell special. It didn't smell different. As a new release, it wasn't really giving me new vibes. It was kind of just more the same, recycled, revamped, whatever. As I've gotten to know it more on my skin, and especially in the air around me as I wear it, which is the most ideal way to experience your fragrances because it's the most realistic, I realized there's something about this that I can't deny is a little bit captivating, very pleasant, kept bringing my interest back to it. So that was a good sign. This is Polo 67 Eau de Parfum. As I said in my first impressions video, I have no experience with the EDT. I have not tried it. I don't really have plans to go out of my way and try it. So I was coming into the EDP totally blind, and you know, it was okay. To me, it smelled like a fresh blue men's designer fragrance with a little bit of like a sweetness in there, maybe a fruitiness or a warmth. And it was just like, okay, we've seen this before. We've heard this track before, but on the skin, in the air, around you as you wear it, I'm like, you know what? I like it. I can't explain why I like it, but I just like it. Just something went off in the brain and it was a yes or no, black or white. And it was like, we like this. I have it here on my skin. First blast, pretty fruity, a little bit fresh, almost shower gel-ish. As it dries down, I feel like it gets a little bit boozy and ambery. There's a warm, woody, smooth, sweet quality that is undeniably attractive, especially in the air. It's gonna smell great for nighttime wear pretty much all year round. Even with a little bit of heat, I think it'll come to life. I bumped it up to maybe a 7 out of 10. It's a solid 7. It's good. Let me know what you think of this one. Did you have a similar experience with it? Was it a love at first sniff, or are you still unconvinced as I was when I first tried it? Next up is from the house of Kajal. This might surprise some of you guys because I think this one got quite a bit of love when it first dropped. And for me, it just smelled a little bit too synthetic when I got my nose on it, especially up close. But getting to know this in the air once again, it is beautiful and it's actually kind of different. This is called Äican. And I also finally spent some time reading about the story and the inspiration behind this fragrance. It's really cool, really thoughtful. I recommend checking it out. I'm not going to go into it all right now. Check it out on their website if you're interested. But what does it smell like? When I first smelled this, I was just getting like borderline synthetic fruits with like ambery sweetness and maybe some spice. And I was like, it's kind of tropical and fruity and really sweet. It was kind of obnoxious. I think it just caught me on a bad day. I've worn it a couple times since then. This stuff around you, man, it is kind of intoxicating, really beautiful, very, very attention grabbing. I don't remember all the notes. There's maybe like a passion fruit or something. There's something really juicy, tropical about it, but it's surrounded by this smooth, glowing, warm, kind of ambery feel. Maybe some spices, once again, some black pepper or something that gives it a little bit of kick. It dries beautifully on the skin and it smells like not a whole lot else that I've really tried or that I own in my collection. Really turned around for me. That is Äican. Let me know what you think of this one from Kajal. I was definitely lukewarm about this one. I think I was expecting to like it more than I did in that first impression. It ultimately didn't really set itself apart as a flanker from its predecessor, at least at first. And giving it some more wearing, which I'm not going to do much right now because it's coming into the warm weather and I would not wear this in the heat. But in giving it some wearing in the late spring, I was realizing this does set itself apart a bit. And at first I liked the original more than this. I think it's leaning a little bit more towards this over the original. They're about the same right now. They're about even. So we'll see where it goes. as I reach for it again as it gets cooler. This is from Kilian. It's Angel Share Paradis, and I got this on my hand right now. What this does to the original Angel Share is it tones down a little bit on the fruitiness and on the cinnamon. It's still cinnamon, it's still fruity, but it's more of a raspberry fruitiness, a little bit less sweet, just a touch. I get almost more of a tart feel from the raspberry, but it's still pretty sweet, and it's definitely boozy. I still get the booziness, that liquor vibe that's in there. But what I like about this a little bit more, at least I'm starting to, is this rustic woody dry down. It's very dry, it's dusty. It adds this really just grounding texture to the scent. Very enveloping, very warming in the air. I just love that woodiness, this kind of wood shavings feel. Doesn't smell like a wood shop, don't get me wrong, but it's just a nice separating factor from the original Angel Share, which is definitely more boozy, spicy, fruity, dessert-like. Definitely smells more like a cinnamon bun or something to me. This has a little bit less of that, maybe a touch less of an overtly gourmand feel. So if that sounds up your alley, I would check this one out. If you do love the gourmand feel more, then just go for the original, that's fine. But let me know what you think of this one. Have you tried it? Angel Share Paradis from Kilian. I just recently featured this in a video, and I was very upfront about my initial thoughts, which were not great. It smelled weird to me. It smelled like a strange synthetic vibe that I just could not wrap my head around, at least for the first couple hours, after which it would settle into something nicer and maybe a little bit more palatable. But I've just come to appreciate it more. Hermes is really becoming known for their proprietary molecules that they're using, that they are patenting, and that are really setting their fragrances apart. Maybe not the most natural ways, but still very interesting and cutting edge ways. And they did it again here with Terre EDP Intense with this lava accord. Lava, so interesting. It does smell like a minerally stone musky feel that's warming behind coffee. Quite a bit of roasted, warm, slightly sweet coffee with a little bit of citrus up top. And definitely some vetiver in the base. The vetiver is still here. You need vetiver, otherwise it's not Terre Hermes, but it's definitely toned back. Probably the least vetiver presence in my experience on my skin than all the other Terre Hermes that I've tried. But it's still undeniably from that DNA. The bitter, slightly maybe smoky woodiness of the vetiver is way pushed to the background. Comes out more on the dry down, especially on the skin. But this definitely has a different personality. I respect that. As a flanker, it really sets itself apart, and that's what a flanker should be, at least in my opinion. I'm not into just little tweaks here and there. I'm okay with a good concentration flanker where they just maybe deepen and enrichen it with the concentration, maybe add another note or two or something. I'm fine with those when they're good, but we see them so much. It is rare. It's kind of a diamond in the rough to find a flanker these days that truly is a pivot away from the original while still being undeniably tethered to it. I totally appreciate that. This one is not going to be for everyone. Let me know if you're a big fan of Hermes and you're a fan of this line, especially this new edition, EDP Intense. Let's stick with Hermes. This was another one that I was lukewarm to when I first tried it. I was a little disappointed. I was expecting maybe more of a pivot than I was just explaining with the previous fragrance. In giving it somewhere, I've realized, yeah, it's not a huge turn away from the original, but it's enough to set itself apart as something different, and it just might appeal to different tastes if the previous ones in the collection were not for you. From the H24 collection, another kind of innovative collection that is maybe going a little bit under the radar. This is the newest, at least at this time, Herb Viv flanker. And to me, this smelled a little bit too much like the EDP of H24. It was heavier on like the fruitiness in a way, almost like this banana feel. It was heavier on the mossiness. And I was like, okay, it smells just like the EDP in a way. But in putting them side by side, for me, it almost combines the EDT and EDP together and then replaces this banana feel that they have that's not overt with pear. You have the depth and the breadth of the EDP. The mossiness is still there. There's a bottom to this fragrance and it smells really nice when it dries, but you still have the freshness, this cooling feel that you get out of the EDT, but maybe even more so and maybe less abrasive. The EDT has this pretty clear metallic feel. I don't get a whole lot of metallic quality out of this. It's this fiscal molecule that is very cooling and fresh, and it just adds to the pear note, making it kind of crushed icy or some kind of frost like pear, if that makes sense. inside of the H24 DNA really sets itself apart as something very unique. Maybe a little bit green. I know this bottle looks pretty green. It's not all that green smelling. There is a touch of a green element, which is left over from the original DNA, but it is still a little bit more sweet, almost like a frozen fruit dessert in a way, but very handsome, very versatile, easy to wear for any occasion, pretty much year round. A special scent, H24 Herb Viv. You guys are going to want to stick around for the last one because it may surprise some of you. But the second to last one here is from Orman Jayne. I haven't talked about this much on the channel. I think I've only featured it in one video, and I didn't say great things about it. I was just being honest. This is called Isfarkand Elixir. I love just about every fragrance I have and have tried from this brand. I didn't love this one, primarily because I couldn't smell it. It was so fleeting. I think it was the aroma chemicals, primarily the ISOE Super, which can do this. It can be very, very evasive and elusive to certain noses. I just couldn't smell it. So it's hard to really evaluate a fragrance that is just simply not present in your nose. Like my receptors weren't picking it up, or they were being overwhelmed by it in a certain way to where I couldn't register it. But in getting to know this better and just kind of not overdoing it with sprays, maybe between 2 and 4 sprays, allowing the fragrance to come in and out of my awareness and not expecting to smell it nonstop all throughout the day, which I know some of you really expect and prefer out of your fragrances. You want to smell them constantly throughout the day, but this is not one of those. It comes and goes. Sometimes it might go for longer periods of time than it actually comes back to you. But when it does come back to you, it's unlike anything else. It is this musky, kind of citrusy, woody fragrance, earthy, and it does change on the skin. It feels like a bit of a linear scent when you first spray it, but as it dries down, there's this kind of rooty, earthy, almost dirty feel, like forest floor vibes, but very subtle and very elegant on top of this muskiness that is kind of the vehicle for bringing it in and out of your awareness. A little bit of lime up top when you first spray it on. It's an elegant scent profile, but one that doesn't take itself too seriously. It's something that can play in the background. It's something that can really just blend in and be camouflaged with your overall vibe. It's not going to stand out as this overtly ice sprayed on a fragrance kind of energy. Sometimes you don't want that. Sometimes you just want to hang out a little bit. Now, that being said, it can be unpredictable who can really detect ISOE Super strongly versus not. So some people might actually smell this pretty strongly. In fact, maybe one of you guys watching out here have a totally different experience with this fragrance. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments, but I'm coming around to this. I'm really liking and appreciating it for the way it is and not trying to make it what I want it to be or what other fragrances are. I just appreciate it the way it was made. It was made well. That is Isfarkand Elixir from Orman Jayne. And the final fragrance, I kind of trashed this in a recent video all about Xerjoff, and some of you guys couldn't handle it. Some of you guys had cracked egos, had bruised self-images. Your confidence was fractured, and you came after me in the comments and you told me I was wrong, and you questioned my credibility, you questioned my nose, you said I got a fake bottle and all these things. And it's like, guys, I hope it's not a secret that in life as a human, what you like may not always be what other people like, and vice versa. Now, this fragrance was super hyped, so I had expectations going into it. I was like, man, if everybody likes this, it must be good. Is that always the case? Usually. Good is obviously subjective, but people are saying it was objectively great. I wouldn't call it that. I still don't love this fragrance, but I do like it. Torino 21 from the Join the Club collection. When I first sprayed this on my skin, I couldn't bring it up to my nose for a couple hours because it was really screechy. For whatever reason, it smelled like a cleaner. There was something very unnatural about the mintiness and this cooling, fresh, almost citrusy vibe. Very green, very sharp, and I just was put off by it. After it settled down, I was enjoying it. And after giving it a wearing around my wife, first of all, I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm liking the vibes I'm getting around me. Very refreshing, very pleasant, very noticeable. And then my wife was like, whatever you have on smells great. And she said that a couple times throughout the day. So obviously that is affirming. And I wore it one other time after that and just confirmed for myself, you know what? I see why people like it. I'm not going to go out and say this is the best summer fragrance you could ever buy. This is the only thing you need to spend your money on if you're looking for a long-lasting, fresh fragrance. Like, no, there's plenty of other great fragrances out there, especially from the house. Renaissance is still way above this for me. Neo is still way above this for me, but it is good. Maybe it'll just be good for me, I would probably rank this like a good 7 out of 10. It is pleasant, it's enjoyable, doesn't really change much, doesn't really go anywhere on my skin, pretty linear, but that's okay. But it's very functional. It's not exactly like a ton of stuff out there. And again, it is pleasant. So that is Torino 21. Let me know what you think of this one. If you're a huge fan of this, if you still feel a little heartbroken that I don't love it, then I don't know what to tell you. That's life. If you also are not crazy about it, then let's talk about it. We don't need to go to war in the comments about it, but we can have a discussion because we're all coming at it from different points of view. Let me know what you think of all these fragrances if you've tried them. Once again, they're linked down in the description, and I'll see you in the next one.